achieve military and political and diplomatic arrangements that will give us stability for the long term. And unfortunately, because of the decision of Iran to expand this war, this wasn't Israel's decision. As I told you at the beginning, we tried to stay confined to defend ourselves from the terrible attack against our communities on the 7th of October, one of the most savage attacks ever seen since the Holocaust in Israel, okay? So we wanted to stay focused on that. We didn't choose to expand this conflict. There were other parties that chose to do so. So we will have to give a proper answer to that. And if we succeed, then there is a chance that in the long term, these kind of attacks won't repeat themselves, not only against Israel, but also against other countries in the region and in the world at large.
There are 7 fronts. You're right about the fact that these terrorist organizations have tentacles and it's a 7-front war. But what, this session is about Israel's strategy for the region going forward. Yeah. What is that strategy against how these against?
As I said it before, it's building blocks. You have to have a security building block. We are building it together with our neighbors and our American friends. We have great intelligence cooperation. We have operational cooperation. We are trying together to defend the skies of the region, to secure trade in the region. So that security building block is it has expanded substantially following the Abraham Accords. It's going to continue to expand. That's number one. Number two is political stability. If we have a good outcome of this military confrontation, we'll be able to expand the Abraham Accords to include other countries in the region that want to join the wagon of prosperity and stability. And if we achieve in doing that...
Saudi Arabia, is that accord still on track?
Yes, and if we achieve in doing that, then we are going to have, the possibility to implement larger projects, global projects, like IMEC, that are going to connect India with Europe and vice versa. So nobody is going to enter into this adventure of investment if we don't build the building blocks that are necessary. And that is our strategy.
Okay. Then this conclave, this summit, it talks about the India century. And I must ask you this, Excellency, that in a conflict where many developed countries seem to have said that at this stage, political outcomes look not very much feasible on the table for them. Some have even said that maybe countries like India or India can be at the forefront of possibly bringing stakeholders on the table. How do you see India's role in West Asia, and especially for this conflict?
Well, I think a substantial role for India, because India is a rising power. I was looking yesterday at the data. I saw that in the next year, when India grows by 7%, it's going to grow by $260 billion. And then the year after, it's going to grow by $300 billion. And then the year after, it's going to grow by $350 billion. Our economy is $600 billion. Okay? So what India
adding half an Israel every year.
Yeah. So what India has to contribute to the world is huge. India is going to become a powerhouse, a manufacturing hub, and it needs to be connected to the world. It has a lot to offer to countries in West Asia. I've seen how India has been working very well to increase the links with the UAE in the last year. And when all this infrastructure of connectivity is set, then we're going to see an incredible role of India in our region, because it's not going to be just about merchandise. It's going to be about manufacturing together. It's going to be about establishing, as we speak, there are communication cables, optic fiber, that are being built between Europe and India. So there are many aspects of this that are going to bring a lot of prosperity to our region, and we depend on the goodwill of India, on the investments of India, on the cooperation with India, and therefore that role is going to increase every year.
All right, Excellency, thank you so much for speaking at a time when there's enough and more that's happening in the region, and we are hopeful that this conversation could possibly bring a new dimension to a conflict that the world is wanting to end, but unfortunately doesn't look like ending anytime soon. Thank you, Excellency, for taking
Thank you, Gaurav.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
And impact your life.
news that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
To the seat of power, Delhi.
NDTV brings you the best breakfast show. Breakfast news on NDTV, 8 a.m. every day.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined his vision for the India Century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने।
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very specific issues. I think a lot of people know that.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right.
AI is going to be one of the most important, drivers.
It's a very exciting time for India, Indian cinema as well at a global level.
NDTV World Summit was more than just a conversation. It was a confluence of ideas poised to shape our global future.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small, from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital, Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always buzz. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
घोषणा आणि जनतेचे पैसे लुटणं.
कट कमिशन आणि करप्शनला आमच्याकडे थारा नाही. त्यांचा परिवारवाद आमचा महाराष्ट्रवाद.
महाराष्ट्रामध्ये 1,75,000 जागा रिक्त मग का भरत नाही? राज्याची जनतेच्या घमाच्या पैशाची तिजोरी लुटण्यासाठी हे सरकार आहे.
पूर्वीच्या सरकारच्या काळामध्ये निधी देताना त्यांना असं वाटायचं की त्यांच्याच खिशातले पैसे चालले. शेतकऱ्यांना मोफत वीज देण्याचं काम आपल्या सरकारने सुरू केलं.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India Century at the NDTV World Summit.
ऐसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए.
This session is called India Ascents, diplomatic high table that we want to be on. And I feel we are already on. I feel strongly about it that the ascent has started. We are on that journey. There are many voices that are coming in that we need to be a main player, if not an active stakeholder, whether it's in conflicts, whether it's in economic integration around the world. In your assessment, quickly, the top 3 things that we should probably be focusing on to increase the pace of this ascent.
Well, I think there's no question, you are right, India is already at the high table. But at the same time, when Prime Minister India demonstrated that he could visit both Russia and Ukraine, he showed that India can play a very valuable bridging role. So certainly, if India stepped up its contributions in trying to find a peaceful solution for the Ukraine problem, that would be a tremendous contribution. Similarly, India is one of the few countries that can talk to the opposing sides, talk to Israel, talk to Iran, and certainly talk to all the Arab countries. And then here too, India can make a major contribution to solving a problem that is worrying the world a great deal. And as you know, finally, at the UN, I think it's time for India to make its case more clearly why it needs to become a permanent member of the UN Security Council immediately. And frankly, nudge the UK and say, okay, you've had your day. It's time for you to move on. And if India takes UK's seat on the UN Security Council, the world will cheer because they know that India will provide a perspective that will be understood both by the West and the East and the North and
Indeed.
the South. That's a unique bridging role that India can play.
Indeed, indeed, Mr. Mehbubani.
New day, new show, a new experience.
Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
And impact your life.
news that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
To the seat of power, Delhi.
NDTV brings you the best breakfast show. Breakfast news on NDTV, 8 a.m. every day.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV summit outlined his vision for the India century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने.
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very specific issues. I think a lot of people know that.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right.
AI is going to be one of the most important, drivers.
It's a very exciting time for India, Indian cinema as well at a global level.
NDTV World Summit was more than just a conversation. It was a confluence of ideas poised to shape our global future.
I've been reporting on all issues big and small from Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, rest of South India, bringing you all the action, all that you need to know, all that you want to know.
The energy of Maximum City is infectious. I bring in that energy in our news coverage from financial capital Mumbai.
India's IT capital is always bustling. It's literally a city that never sleeps. And I keep you ahead on all the Bengaluru buzz.
Covering from the southernmost part of India over the last 23 years, I bring in-depth and 360-degree coverage from the Dravidian heartland.
The land of Mishti is also known for its bitter politics. I have seen much water flow under the Howrah Bridge, covering Bengal in all its vivid colors.
तालियों के साथ हम स्वागत करेंगे आदरणीय मोदी जी का.
छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज की. त्यांचा अजेंडा फक्त करप्शन फर्स्ट. आमचा अजेंडा आहे नेशन फर्स्ट.
घोषणा आणि जनतेचे पैसे लुटणं.
कट कमिशन आणि करप्शनला आमच्याकडे थारा नाही. त्यांचा परिवारवाद आमचा महाराष्ट्रवाद.
महाराष्ट्रामध्ये 1,75,000 जागा रिक्त पण का मिळत नाही. राज्याची जनतेच्या घमाच्या पैशाची तिजोरी लुटण्यासाठी हे सरकार आहे.
पूर्वीच्या सरकारच्या काळामध्ये निधी देताना त्यांना असं वाटायचं.
Hello and good morning. Welcome to Breakfast Show. My name is Radhika Ramaswamy. I'm joining you from Mumbai studios. We also have Divya who will join us shortly from Delhi studios as well. From India-China bilateral to Delhi's declining air quality and seat announcements in Maharashtra and Jharkhand. We have tons lined up. But first, let's take a look at the headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will hold a bilateral meet with the Chinese President Xi Jinping, their first since 2020 Galwan clash on the sidelines of BRICS summit in Russia after border breakthrough. Top leaders and diplomats praise for Prime Minister's peace push at NDTV World Summit as Prime Minister Modi reiterates peace and diplomacy is the way forward. Global thought leaders praise Modi government's green push. India under Modi leading green energy transition. West is arrogant, India leading way in green energy. Eknath Shinde Sena has released its first list of 45 candidates for Maharashtra polls. Chief Minister Shinde will contest from Kopri Pachkapkadi seat. JMM in Jharkhand releases a list of 35 candidates. Chief Minister Hemant Soren to contest from Barhet. Once again, Delhi NCR's Air Emergency Air Quality Index now stands at about 300. "5,000 drones showcased in Amravati on day one of National Drone Summit, creating history by securing 5 Guinness World Records with its mesmerizing drone shows. And for Diwali festive cheer, we bring you some interesting ground report from the city of Chennai.
A very good morning. Let's get you our top story, and that's Prime Minister Modi, who will be holding a bilateral meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, their first since 2020 Galwan clash on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in Russia. The meeting is going to underscore the upturn as far as the relationship between India and China is concerned, Radhika.
That's right. The meeting, as you said, Divya, will underscore the upturn in the India-China relation following a consensus on patrolling arrangement along the line of actual control that had in fact faced multiple hiccups over the last few years. China on Tuesday confirming that it has reached an agreement with India to end the standoff between the armies of two nations in eastern Ladakh.
Right, Beijing said that a resolution has been reached on relevant matters and that it will work with New Delhi to implement these resolutions. The bilateral is expected after that border thaw, and of course this arrangement which would involve a return to the pre-2020 system. It's also moved to stabilize the situation and work as a confidence-building measure when it comes to the two nations.
I can confirm that there will be a bilateral meeting held between Prime Minister Modi and President Xi Jinping tomorrow, 23rd of October, on the sidelines of the BRICS summit. The exact time and other logistics are being worked out, but the meeting will take place tomorrow.
We have Vishal joining us on the phone line with us. Vishal, of course, a very significant bilateral there, given the border tension between the two countries. And of course, both countries reaching an agreement as far as the border patrolling is concerned. How significant is this India-China bilateral under the current context?
Well, in the last 4 years, this would be the most important bilateral. And this would only be the second official bilateral between both the leaders, Xi Jinping and PM Modi. The last time they met was a bilateral meeting in Bali. Actually, that was an informal meeting. Before that, there was another bilateral meeting. So there have been very few instances where the leaders have officially met. And the fact that you mentioned recently India and China announced that they have signed a deal to de-escalate tensions on the border. This bilateral visit comes in the backdrop of that, so it will be important to see what kind of statements come out because both the sides have expressed that they are ready to de-escalate, but the Chinese side has not really talked about the patrolling agreement that India has talked about. That has been one of the most contentious points as far as the de-escalation was concerned. So that will be interesting to see, and when the meeting actually happens. The timing has not been announced, and when it actually happens, both the leaders will most definitely speak about this when it actually happens.
All right. Thank you, Vishal, for getting us all those details. Of course, we will wait for more details as this important bilateral happens, Divya. But let's move on. This is, of course, in connection to the BRICS summit. Once again, on the sidelines of BRICS summit, Prime Minister Modi conveyed to Russian President Vladimir Putin that India believes in peaceful solutions to conflicts.
Absolutely, reiterating that peace and diplomacy is the way forward, and this is what we've heard Prime Minister Modi speak about very often in the past as well. And his former diplomat Kishore Mahbubani, who praised how Prime Minister Modi is the only leader who can speak to both nations, whether it's Ukraine or Russia, and also the fact that he can speak to Israel as well as Iran. Let's listen in.
This session is called India Ascents, diplomatic high table that we want to be on. And I feel we are already on. I feel strongly about it that the ascent has started. We are on that journey. There are many voices that are coming in that we need to be a main player, if not an active stakeholder, whether it's in conflicts, whether it's in economic integration around the world. In your assessment, quickly, the top 3 things that we should probably be focusing on to increase the pace of this ascent.
Well, I think there's no question, you are right, India is already at the high table. But at the same time, you know, when Prime Minister of India demonstrated that he could visit both Russia and Ukraine, he showed that India can play a very valuable bridging role. So certainly if India stepped up its contributions in trying to find a peaceful solution for the Ukraine problem, that would be a tremendous contribution. Similarly, India is one of the few countries that can talk to the opposing sides, talk to Israel, talk to Iran, and certainly talk to all the Arab countries. And then here too, India can make a major contribution to solving a problem that is worrying the world a great deal. And as you know, finally, at the UN, I think it's time for India to make its case more clearly why it needs to become a permanent member of the UN Security Council immediately. And frankly, nudge the UK and say, okay, you've had your day. It's time for you to move on. And if India takes UK's seat on the UN Security Council, the world will cheer because they know that India will provide a perspective that will be understood both by the West and the East and the North and the South. That's a unique bridging role that India can play.
Indeed, indeed, Mr. Mahbubani.
And more on NDTV World Summit. India's G20 Sherpa Amitabh Kant at the World Summit said Prime Minister Modi made G20 more inclusive as he played a key role in including the African Union in the G20. Divya, he spoke about Global South's contribution to economic growth rate as well.
Right, Amitabh Kant at the NDTV World Summit reiterating the role that India is playing as far as a contribution to economic growth is concerned, particularly Global South. Let's listen in to Amitabh Kant.
Talk about the G20 process and digital inclusion. How has India offered not just our knowledge, but our actual digital governance models to nations of the G20? And how is that, you know, the potential of that absolutely enormous? Let's talk about the Global South now.
So the only way, you know, in the next 4 decades, according to both IMF and World Bank, 3/4, and it's very important because I see a lot of young people here, 3/4 of the growth in the world is going to come from the Global South. You know, this year, if you look at it, IMF says that the global growth is going to be 3.2%. The developed countries' growth is going to be 1.8%. The developing countries' growth is going to be 4.4%. So in the coming years, all the growth is going to come from the Global South. And it's going to come from Global South because the demographics are young in India, Asia, and in Africa. The population is aging in America, the population is aging in Europe, but the population is extremely young in India and Africa, and therefore all the growth is going to come from here. Now, if all the growth is going to come from here, then you need the use of technology, you need the restructuring of financial institutions, both World Bank and IMF. The international financial architecture, which was designed for the post-World War II, has to be reconfigured for the global south. And that is what India is trying to do. And in the G20, India's key role, the Prime Minister Modi's key role, was to make African Union a member of G20 and make this into G21. That was his key role. He made it G21. And by doing this, he took the G20. G20 used to be just 76% of the global population. He took it to 90%, making it very inclusive.
All right, let's shift our focus now, Divya, to some tragic news from Bengaluru. Around 15 laborers working in an under-construction building were trapped under the rubble as the entire structure, in fact, came crashing down. It collapsed yesterday at Bengaluru's Babu Sapalya. While 5 people are dead, we believe more are believed to be trapped at this point. In fact, at the time of the collapse, there were at least about 20 people inside the building. 14, we believe, at this point have been rescued.
Right, Radhika, they were rescued last night, but rescue operations are continuing from late last night. They kind of resumed this morning. The NDRF and the SDRF are working in full swing with the help of the city police and the dog squad as well. But it is DK Shivkumar who's gone on to say that illegal activities were going on. So from what we hear is that permission was only given till the 4th floor, but this building was, higher than the 4th floor, and illegal activities were going on as far as this construction is concerned. Was it really the monsoon that was playing a role as far as this collapse is concerned? DK Shivkumar saying that action will be taken against everyone. Let's listen in to the Deputy Chief Minister.
We will take strict action against the owner, the contractor and everyone. In entire Bangalore, I will make up see that we will come out with a decision where all such type of illegal construction are going on. We are going to stop immediately. I will conduct a big survey on this and we will stop all this type, and I will inform the concerned registrars also not to accept any transfer of property, such type of property which there are no plan sanction. So we'll have to deal with this with the strict laws, whatever we have in our hands.
Let's go straight across to Pratibha on this. Pratibha, very tragic incident there. Take us through the death toll now. How many people are still feared, are trapped? We believe rescue work is still going on, and of course there are some sort of violations as far as this entire building is concerned.
As you said, it is definitely unfortunate because what we hear is that the NDRF team, the SDRF team and the police personnel have been working around the clock in around 16 hours, and the rescue operation has been on in full swing, and the death toll right now stands at around 5, and 13 of them have been rescued, of which 5 have been admitted to the hospital for suffering injuries of different kinds. And right now, yes, a lot of effort that is on to find out if there are more that are trapped. There is no absolute confirmation on the total figures as far as the laborers who were trapped in total are concerned. This is the under construction building that you see, which is under rubble now, which has been debris now. And like you mentioned, yes, the permission initially was given for a 4-storied building, and there were several other floors that were built on top of this, the kind of substandard material that could have perhaps been used. And in fact, these are the neighboring blocks that you see, most of them who are standing right outside to find out what is really happening. Could it be the soil? Could it be the rain conditions here? Or could it be the substandard material that were used, or the illegal construction? These are several questions that are still doing the rounds. No confirmation as yet. But yes, Bengaluru has been battling heavy rains for the last couple of days, and infrastructure mess as well as waterlogged roads and pothole-ridden roads. These have been the concerns that have been enveloping the citizens of Bengaluru as well as the commuters here. This has definitely been one such incident in the recent past that has left Bengaluru totally battered and totally outraged with respect to the kind of death toll as well as the tragic situation that the citizens as well as the city faces. Back to you.
Right, thank you so much, Pratibha. Many questions being raised as far as the water issue is concerned with the heavy showers that were reported as far as Bengaluru is concerned, but also in terms of the violation that is, a blatant violation seen here as well. Moving on to our next story, and that is a cyclone that's brewing over Bay of Bengal. It's likely to hit the coastline of Odisha as well as West Bengal between Sagar and Puri. This weather system is likely to intensify further before it makes landfall, and the landfall is expected tomorrow. So the areas of concern, of course, includes the coastline of West Bengal and Odisha. Red alert warning has been sounded off. But what we are hearing now, Radhika, is that this weather system is likely to turn into a severe cyclone before it makes landfall.
Absolutely. In fact, a dedicated team of NDRF and civil defense personnel along with officials from other departments will be stationed around the temple in Sagar Island to respond to emergencies. Fishermen advised to refrain from venturing into seas as well. Over 150 trains have also been cancelled from West Bengal and Odisha. Let's go straight across to Saurabh on this. Saurabh, cyclone to hit Bengal as well as Orissa. Of course, several precautionary measures have been taken by officials there. Take us through the preparations and how prepared is West Bengal as the state braces for this cyclone.
Actually, the cyclone Dana is likely to make landfall between Balasore and also largely close to the Dhamra port. And that is, of course, those are the areas that are most likely to face the sort of most brutal brunt of the cyclone. However, districts like East Mednipur have been put on alert. Places like Digha have been put on alert. Also, there are other places that will, be affected by the cyclone. Balasore and, Dhamra port. This is likely where the cyclone's landfall is going to be. But after that, it's going to curve away from West Bengal. Now, Odisha, of course, has also closed schools. So has West Bengal. Also, what we've seen is the NDRF, SDRF and ODRAF, the Odisha's specialized, rescue relief force also has been put on alert and on standby. People will be evacuated to cyclone shelters. 24th evening and 25th morning is when that landfall is expected to happen. Early in the morning, 25th, late night, 24th. And a lot of precautionary measures have been put in place. In fact, a lot of the ports have also been alerted, and Dhamra port is one of them because that's the closest to the landfall landfall location as far as this cyclone is concerned. And in fact, the alert that has been sent out also is very clear to the ports, and that is something that they've been asked to be on alert. So the authorities have put in a lot of effort in ensuring that that casualties do not happen, that lives are not lost. They want a zero casualty approach to tackling cyclones. Odisha, of course, in the last few years has gained world recognition in how to manage the impact of a cyclone, and Bengal also preparing. In fact, Chief Minister yesterday also held a meeting with officials. Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee held a press conference in Kolkata. Chief Minister Mohan Charan Majhi of Odisha also has been reviewing the situation. Both the Chief Ministers have been consulting with officials to ensure that this cyclone, which is expected to turn into a severe cyclone, doesn't cause damage. It doesn't cause a lot of damage, and also lives are not lost. That's the primary focus.
Absolutely, Saurabh, which is why Mamata Banerjee has announced that schools in 7 districts will be shut from today till the 26th. We're talking about 150 trains from West Bengal and Odisha have been cancelled. So a lot of precautionary measures are in place. The impact of this cyclone is going to be immense because the kind of wind speed we're talking about could be 100 to 110, gusting to 120 kmph. We will keep tracking this story and coming back to you, Saurabh, for more on that. Switching tracks now to the battle for Maharashtra and Jharkhand, and key contest had these contestants who have been announced as far as the seat allocation is concerned between the 2 states of Maharashtra and Jharkhand. The seats for the Chief Minister's position, this is Chief Minister Soren and Chief Minister Shinde. Both have announced key contest that has been announced for both the states. So let's just obviously get you the Shiv Sena, which has released its first list of 45 candidates for the upcoming Maharashtra Assembly polls, which are to be held on the 20th of November in that single phase. And according to the list, it's the Chief Minister Eknath Shinde who will be contesting from the Kopri, Pakadi Assembly constituency, Radhika.
That's right. Chief Minister Eknath Shinde will be contesting. Of course, this is the first list that has been announced as far as Eknath Shinde is concerned. We know for a fact that BJP announced its first list of 99 candidates. Now, among Mahayuti, Ajit Pawar is yet to announce, but very importantly today, the opposition MVA will also be finalizing its seats. There could be a press conference of at least about 10 to 15 meetings that have taken place in the last few weeks. Yesterday, the meeting within MVA went on for about 7 to 8 hours past midnight. Divya, let's go straight across to Anuj on this. Anuj, of course, you covered the MVA meeting yesterday. No resolution as such, especially over a few Vidarbha seats, but looks like today there could be, consensus reached, and there will be announcement as far as MVA seats are concerned. Congress to get the larger pie is what we are hearing, and of course, as far as Eknath Shinde is concerned, 45 seats have been announced by him. Take us through the breakup as far as Eknath Shinde seats are concerned, and also what can be expected from the MVA camp today.
Well, about the MVA meeting, there are two ways to look at it. Firstly, there were multiple meetings held, and it shows, that there was not a clear chain of thought when it came to these meetings, and which is why so many meetings were required in the first place. But what we saw yesterday, of course, at the end of the meeting, Nana Patole said that almost all the seats have been finalized except for 4 to 5 seats, and they'll be finalizing them, and will be taking a press conference today afternoon where the ultimate list will be made public in front of the media. But when the meeting started yesterday, the number of seats, the number of contentious seats that were there in question were much higher than that. We are learning that there were close to 15 to 20 seats that they were fighting it out for. And it is not just about Vidarbha, but 3 crucial seats in Mumbai, a few seats in Marathwada as well, and 1 or 2 seats in North Maharashtra. And the meeting that took place yesterday had the senior leaders from all the parties, and it went on for close to 7 to 8 hours. And although it did not really result into the last seat getting confirmed, but it is something that the Mahavikas Agadi will look at positively, because we saw that all the leaders who were leading the meeting, the mood of that meeting was way better than what it was in the previous meetings. And today afternoon, they're expected to put out a list of all the candidates and of the seat sharing formula between the Mahavikas Agadi alliance. What we are learning as of now is that MVA might go ahead with the 105, 95, 85 formula, where the largest pie being taken by Congress party, followed by the Shiv Sena UBT faction, and then of course 85 by NCP Sharad Pawar faction. Now, talking about Eknath Shinde's Sena, yesterday at around 11:15, Eknath Shinde Sena announced their first list of candidates, including 45 candidates, and it became the second party in Mahayuti and in the state to announce this list. A major takeaway from this particular list is that they've given a chance to all the rebel MLAs who left, the United Shiv Sena a couple of years ago when the rebellion took place, and all of them have received a ticket once again. There were a lot of chatters about how the sitting MLAs would be given a chance over the ones who are not incumbent, but then this is what the Eknath Shinde government has tried to do. Eknath Shinde faction of Shiv Sena has tried to do, except for those who have been promoted to be the members of parliament, and even their family members have been given tickets for the Legislative Assembly. So 41 out of 45 people who are in the list are all the incumbent MLAs, and that is a major key. That is a major takeaway as far as Shinde Sena is concerned. And then there is another party which released list yesterday, that is MNS, Maharashtra Navnirman Sena. And one chatter that they put to rest is that there were a lot of rumors about how MNS might have an unofficial alliance with the Mahayuti government as far as a few seats is concerned. But the fact that both Shiv Sena and MNS have given their candidates on same seats, proves it that there has been no such official or unofficial alliance between the two factions.
Right, Anuj, we will keep coming back to you for more on that. Thank you so much for breaking it down for us. And moving from Maharashtra to Jharkhand now, and the GMM has released a list of 35 candidates for the Jharkhand Assembly elections, naming Chief Minister Hemant Soren from the Barhet seat, his wife Kalpana Soren from the Gandhi seat, and brother Basant Soren from the Dumka seat. Radhika.
That's right. So JMM releasing its list of 35 candidates. Hemant Soren, of course, one of the candidates there, and RJD had also released its list. Let's go straight across to Prabhakar on this. Prabhakar, of course, JMM has released its first list earlier. Of course, RJD had announced its list as well. There were a lot of rifts as well. Take us through the list first, and has the disputes and differences within India bloc been resolved?
Yeah, it looks like so, because RJD was posturing for last 3 days. We saw RJD holding a press conference and demanding more seats, and Manoj Jha, who happens to be the MP of RJD, the Rajya Sabha MP, he had clearly said that the RJD would not settle for anything less than 12 seats, though they were eyeing 15 to 18 seats. But it's a major step down as far as RJD is concerned. Now they have conceded on 6 seats being given to RJD in Jharkhand, which is even 1 seat less than what they had contested last time. So RJD has already announced its candidate. Now JMM today has released the list. So the ball has now set rolling in Jharkhand as far as the election campaign is concerned. We already saw the ND Alliance list being released by BJP and the JDU and the LJP, all the constituents of NDA. They had released their list, and now today the JMM Congress, they have released their list. 35 seats is what the JMM has announced so far, and 21 is for Congress. They altogether have 70 seats with them, the JMM Congress combined. RJD has been given 6, and 5 goes to left parties. Out of 5, 3 seats, 3 names have been announced. And remember, when the NDA list came out, there were allegations of the family members being given ticket against what BJP practices and BJP preaches. And here is the case where even the JMM actually sails in the same boat. So you'll see 3 tickets being given from the Soren family. Basant Soren, who happens to be younger brother of Hemant Soren, and also his wife Kalpana Soren. So they all 3 are contesting. And then you have many of the MPs there whose sons have got ticket, like from Nalin Soren to Jobha Manjhi. Their sons have also been given ticket. So JMM and Congress, they were they were attacking BJP on this particular issue. But now that their list is out, they're selling in the same boat. And as I was telling, now that the list is out of the India Alliance members, so the ball has been set rolling in Jharkhand. The election campaign kickstarts now.
All right. Thank you, Prabhakar, for getting us all those details and breaking that down for us. So election campaign to kickstart in Jharkhand. With that, we'll slip into a short break. Divya, more news and updates on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
Co-powered. Stay informed and entertained with the new and updated NDTV News app. You can watch all our channels live, listen to podcasts, read breaking and exclusive news from around the world and more. Download the NDTV app today and get access to the best journalism and storytelling on your smartphone or tablet. The NDTV app. News that matters to you.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
ऐसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए.
In the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं.
NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
New day, new show, a new experience.
Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your life.
News that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the seat of power, Delhi,
NDTV brings you the best breakfast show. Breakfast news on NDTV, 8 a.m. every day.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024, the India Century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV Summit outlined his vision for the India Century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने.
The summit brought to
All right, welcome back. Now let's go to Delhi's pollution problem. Divya, Delhi NCR's air remains very poor once again. Air quality deteriorating. Doctors now warning of respiratory diseases. So clearly, Divya, what we are talking about is AQI above 300. And it's not just today, yesterday, but it's been happening for the last few weeks now. And a situation that you see every year in your city at around this time.
Absolutely, it's that time of the year again, Radhika, and this time around it has been slightly delayed from what we can see, and I think it's the weather that had a lot to do with it because the temperatures were exceptionally high as far as October is concerned, and which is why the pollution that wasn't visibly there is now in your face. This morning when I was driving to work, it's actually hitting you in the eyes. One is feeling the hit as we speak as far as pollution is concerned, and today the figures are coming in at 340 as far as the overall figure of the national capital is concerned, and this is the highest we've seen in the last 4 days. We're seeing that pollution levels over the last 2 to 3 days have been above 300 points, which basically means that it's in the very poor category. And to get you how bad the situation is on the ground, we have Tanushka joining us from Qutub Minar. Tanushka, is the Qutub Minar even visible?
Divya, the Qutub Minar is faintly visible behind me. As you can see out here, if you can see it, it is still visible, but it's not very visible at the moment. Of course, the air quality is predicted to be in the very poor category till Friday as well, according to the central government's air quality early morning system for Delhi. And we also have, a morning walker here. Let us get talking to him. Sir, how often do you come around this area, for your early morning walks?
Actually, I'm here on a visit to Delhi for work, so yeah, it's been like the second day here in Delhi.
All right, and what are your understanding of, the air quality conditions and the pollution in Delhi with respect to, the other cities?
Actually, yeah, as we all know, the pollution levels in Delhi are pretty high, and right now, I've noticed that it's really high this time, the particulate pollution and the smog is everywhere, and I think the AQI is, above 300, and and right now, with GRAP as well as it's revoked in Delhi. So I think we have to adapt to certain practices to curb the pollution, not just from the government, but as citizens, we ourselves have to take the initiative for that.
Right, right.
Yes, yes.
The stubble burning from neighboring states as well is, a contributing factor to the pollution in Delhi and NCR region as well.
Yes, it is. And along with that, the industrial pollution, the stubble burning, yeah, obviously we have to adapt to new practices for that. Yeah, but yeah, there are the authorities and the people who who are involved in it, they have to take the right practices for that. Yeah.
All right, thank
yes.
you, sir. So what we are of course understanding at this moment is that the air quality index in Delhi and NCR has been at 340, and even for the week ahead until Friday it is to remain in the very poor category, and also that the PM 2.5 concentration level is also expected to rise by 15.1% until tomorrow. This is also as per the Union Ministry of Earth Sciences data. So this is what the situation is. While there has been GRAP second stage that has been invoked, an 11-point action plan has also been made, we are still, of course, setting into the season of intense and very bad air pollution conditions in Delhi NCR.
All right. Thank you, Tanushka, for bringing us that ground report as well as important voices from there. So, Divya, the condition is only going to deteriorate is what the prediction is. Despite so many measures being taken, no change on ground. We have Anumita Roy Chaudhary, Executive Director of CSC, to talk more about the problem of air pollution in the national capital. Ma'am, my question really is very basic. Why is this a perennial problem in Delhi? I get it that there are different contributors to it, which include stubble burning, of course, which is prevalent in northern parts. Many measures being implemented, but why is it so hard to resolve? I'm sure it's a combination of factors that's leading to it, but yet why is it a perennial problem in Delhi and which never gets resolved?
Absolutely. And the reason why at the onset of winter, we begin to see this kind of smog building up, the big reason behind this is that even though Delhi has actually succeeded in bending the pollution curve, but even after that, the pollution levels here are so high that Delhi requires yet another 60% reduction in the overall annual PM 2.5 level to be able to meet the clean air benchmark. So if your levels are already very high, then the moment the weather turns adverse, you will see this kind of buildup. Now, the reason why we are not being able to address this problem clearly are a lot more systemic reasons, which we cannot deal with only emergency action during winter. I mean, look at the data from the Indian Institute of Tropical Meteorology right now. Their forecast right now for Delhi shows that more than half of the pollution in Delhi is coming from vehicles. Now look at the sheer explosive traffic. Even though we have brought in BS6 standards, we are electrification, we have phased out old vehicles, done CNG, despite that vehicles are the top polluter because of the sheer numbers. And we have not been able to bring about the drastic change needed in the way people travel in the city. Similarly, about 25% of Delhi is still outside the proper formal municipal collection of waste, which means a lot of waste is accumulating in the open that gets burnt. We also have large number of industrial areas, even though Delhi has seen massive expansion of natural gas in its legal industrial areas. But there are peripheral industries where you are still using the non-polluting fuels. Now, therefore, understand to be able to address all these issues, what systemic and structural and infrastructure level action is needed throughout the year. And a very important message from the trend that we are seeing this year particularly, because beginning of winter, every year we only talk about stubble burning contributing to Delhi's air quality. But this year we have already hit the poor quality. But if you look at SAFA's estimate of how much stubble burning is contributing to Delhi's air quality, it is less than 1% most of the days. That means we cannot blame stubble burning anymore to that extent. It is your local pollution, your pollution in the adjacent region. And this also means that Delhi alone cannot fight this battle because pollution does not follow any political boundary. So the Delhi and the entire NCR will have to ramp up, accelerate, and take aggressive action to deal with vehicles, industrial pollution, waste burning, construction activities, and also the kind of problem that we are seeing with use of solid fuels, dust, and construction. So we know the solutions.
Anumita, when we talk about the pollution body, is there a change in approach when it comes to this perennial problem? Or is it the same approach to the same old problem with just about no solutions that we can visibly see at the moment?
Clearly, what is happening, Divya, that year after year, we are beginning all the pollution bodies coming up with their respective cleaner action plans. Okay, every year you will see an announcement of a new cleaner policy, winter action plan, our new strategy. But where we are really slipping is translating those plans into implementable action and to ensure that, so we now need to see action taken report by the governments, not only saying we have issued so many challans and we have inspected so many sites, but we want to know from them that where is the gap in action and therefore what have they planned to deal with it. And that data and that information is just not even visible to us. Like even today, the GRAP, when you say that you have enforced GRAP 2, what does it really mean? Just look at the list of the GRAP measures. These are normal, routine enforcement measures that all departments should be implementing in any case, irrespective of the fact whether it is an emergency or not. And also, you really have not, so the pollution bodies will now really have to focus on each sector, understand what are the infrastructure requirements to address the problem, where is the deficit, have they tied up the resources to implement that, is there a business rule within the department to ensure that throughout the year you are implementing those measures so that by winter you are not facing this problem. Clearly, it's a challenge of not just planning, but actually translating the plan into monitorable, verifiable, and actionable action agenda for the states and the cities. And that's where we really need the accountability today.
Right. All right. Thank you, Anumita Roy Chowdhury, for giving us a comprehensive perspective on the issue. You're saying that it's not just stubble burning, but vehicles, local pollution, industrial gas, all of that lead to the pollution that we're seeing. And infrastructure level change is something that's required, Divya, and Delhi alone cannot fight this battle, is something Anumita has just said. But let's move on. On pollution itself, stubble burning is another issue that we keep talking about, which is, of course, a contributory factor as far as Delhi pollution is concerned, Divya. So stubble burning in Punjab and Haryana. NDTV gives a ground report from Punjab on stubble burning.
That's right, Radhika. Let's just, get a perspective as far as the farmers are concerned, who are absolutely helpless because they really don't have much of an alternative. The government isn't providing them with a cheaper solution in regard to that stubble that's left behind. So they have no alternative but to burn that stubble, which reaches Delhi and, it contributes to the PM 2.5 levels of the AQI here in the NCR region. And, Radhika, what we really need to see is that they are facing that smog first. They are also breathing that toxic air. So it is a problem, it is a hazard for their lives and for their loved ones as well. Gurpreet gets us this ground report.
We have seen the Apex Court has already pulled the state government, saying that there is need to put a cap on this stubble burning which is happening in Punjab and Haryana along with Uttar Pradesh. Today we have come to the farm to just understand the farmers' point of view, why they are continuing this stubble burning. We can see this is a village in district Mohali where we have seen the farmers they are already trying to gather this stubble because they feel the government should provide some equipment to them so that they will not go for this stubble burning. We will talk to the farmers to understand their point of view. Welcome to NDTV. क्या मजबूरी है किसान की कि उसको स्टबल बर्निंग करनी पड़ रही है?
वेलकम जी आपका। मजबूरी ही सारी बिल्कुल मजबूरी है। आज 21 हो गई, सोइंग का टाइम शुरू हो गया। आज के दिन हमारी फील्ड प्लॉइंग होकर तैयार हो जानी चाहिए थी और 2 दिन में ड्रिल होनी चाहिए थी। और कंडीशन ये है कि हम स्टबल वेट है, ट्रैक्टर चल नहीं सकता। बेलर मशीन जो गवर्नमेंट कह रही है वो बहुत कम है, वो प्लेंटी में होनी चाहिए।
पर सरकार कहीं ना कहीं ये कह रही है कि हम सभी इक्विपमेंट भी दे रहे हैं, कहीं ना कहीं किसान को हर तरह की मदद दे रहे हैं, लेकिन फिर भी किसान स्टबल बर्निंग कर रहा है, फिर भी पराली को जला रहे हैं।
नहीं, हमारे पास ऐसा कोई भी एग्रीकल्चर वाले हमारे पास आए थे, उनको बोला था कि हमारे पास कोई इसका हल निकालो। वो बोल रहे थे कि हम मशीन भेजेंगे, फिर कह रहे मशीन वाला यहाँ आएगा नहीं, आपके पास ज़मीन कम है और खेत यहाँ एक प्लेन नहीं है, ऊंची में है। वो तो ऐसे कहकर चले गए।
तो well, we can see this is the farmers. They say they are not able to get equipment, but we will see how the government will be try to resolve this problem. So one of the main farmers who is having a lot of land here, so we will talk to him, understand what are the basic demands of the farmer and how the farmers they are trying to get it resolved. तो पुनिया साहब, आप काफ़ी लैंड होल्डिंग रखते हो यहाँ पे, पर कहीं ना कहीं ये लगता है कि क्या ऐसा गैप है सरकार और किसानों के बीच में? हर बार जब पोल्यूशन की बात आती है तो पराली जलानी पड़ती है, हर बार सुप्रीम कोर्ट, एपेक्स कोर्ट भी लगातार इस पे सीरियस व्यू ले रही है कि किसानों को कोई कॉम्पनसेशन दिया जाए, इक्विपमेंट दिया जाए। तो क्या लगता है कि क्या हल क्या है और कहाँ तक सरकार ने आपकी सहायता की है और क्या और सहायता करने की ज़रूरत है?
जो ये सहकारी डिपार्टमेंट है, कोऑपरेटिव सोसाइटियाँ बनी हुई हैं, इनके पास हम एक डिमांड करते हैं, इनके पास ये इक्विपमेंट हो, मशीन हो, जो कि पराली की वो प्रोसेस में ला के इसका कोई जैसे बनाता है, तेल निकलता है, गत्ता बनता है, कप बनते हैं, उसमें यूज़ होने के लिए इनकी सरकार को चाहिए कि इस प्रोसेस में लेके आए। छोटे छोटे जो सोसाइटीज़ बनी है गांव में, उनके पास दिया जाए। किसको जितनी ज़रूरत है, कोई अवेलेबल नहीं है इतना। जहाँ ये लेते हैं अपना लैंड होल्डिंग कम है लोगों के पास, कहीं 1 किला जीरी का, कहीं आधा किला है, उसके लिए वाइबल नहीं है मशीनों जो प्राइवेट भी कर रहे हैं। ये सोसाइटी के पास अगर हो तो हर जिम्मेदार लेकर ना आग लगानी पड़ेगी।
पर सरकार हमेशा लगातार कहती है कि हम मशीन्स दे रहे हैं, जो मदद हो सकती दे रहे हैं। सुप्रीम कोर्ट भी बार बार कहता है कि किसानों को कॉम्पनसेशन दिया जाए, क्योंकि टाइम कम होता है, अगली बिजाई भी करनी होती है, कई प्रेशर होते हैं। तो फिर भी क्यों किसान ऐसे उसको मजबूर हो रहा है, जहाँ उसको स्टेप लेने पड़ रहे हैं?
ग्राउंड लेवल पर कोई ना मशीन आ रही है, वो कागजों में दिखा रहे हैं। किसी भी उसमें दिखा दो, अगर पड़ी है मशीन किसी के पास, ठीक है ना, कोई सोसाइटी में नहीं आई अभी, बोल देते हैं, वो कागजों में प्रैक्टिकल नहीं होगा।
Right, thank you so much, Gurpreet, for highlighting the issues that the farmers are facing. And let's just switch tracks to more news coming in, and that is in regard to the South Indian filter coffee that's ranked second on the Taste Atlas list of the top 10 coffees worldwide. We're talking about the Indian filter coffee with its rich aroma and its bold flavor, Radhika, that's earned international recognition.
Absolutely, quite well deserved, as far as filter coffee culture is concerned. Of course, known for its rich flavor and unique brewing process. This is a staple in South Indian households and has now been recognized as a global favorite, second only to Cuba's espresso. Now, let's go straight across to Sam. Sam is joining us from Chennai. Sam, filter coffee, of course, now getting international acclaim, second best coffee in the world. Chennai, of course, is the center of filter coffee culture. So, Sam, what makes this a special brew? I guess you have an expert who will explain this to us.
That's right, Radhika and Divya. We come to you from ITC Grand Chola in Chennai, and with me, Chef Mayank. Thank you very much, Chef, for your time. Indian filter coffee has now been ranked number 2 globally. So it's gone global in that sense, the flavor.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's gone flavor, international with the flavors. And of course, it's good Indian heritage now, which is gone global. And it's very interesting to know that.
Tell us about the aroma that has struck a chord with global coffee lovers now.
See, the global traveler is used to cappuccino, latte and other forms of coffee. But our Indian filter coffee, which coffee we adopted so well in the southern states, and we started growing in Coorg when 18th century Britishers brought in coffee beans to India. And we have created our own filter, we have created our own decoction and a combination with chicory. So it's very interesting.
The interesting aspect also is that for other flavors of international coffee, you require a machine. But Indian filter coffee, all it requires is that simple percolator.
That's right. That's right. It's so personal kind of a thing. When you do it, the palate and the taste, we have created our own combination. And now all the machines which are internationally used are popularizing coffee as latte, cappuccino. But here is our Indian coffee, filter coffee, which has been, handmade, and such a simple equipment like a coffee percolator and hot water and the right consistency of coffee beans powder and roasting has created this unique flavor.
When you travel overseas, you see international coffee, be it cappuccino, espresso, but still Indian filter coffee isn't that kind of a popular thing worldwide.
I think now being number 2, it's going to get its own place, and soon I feel that it will be number 1. And I think because machines were used for other forms of coffee, and this was still a skill with the mothers and home and tradition. So I think now with certain brands coming up with filter coffee decoction and packaging it, I think soon it's going to become a popular brand world over.
Is coffee a kind of a colonial thing? introduced by the British?
That's right, absolutely. It came in 18th century, as I was mentioning it, and we started and we adopted it so well. We started growing in Coorg, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Karnataka.
It's India's own now.
Yeah, it's India's own now. And if you look at coffee, the Tamil Nadu has got a stronger coffee. That means there's a less of chicory in it. Karnataka has got a little more chicory, and Kerala has started adding spice.
Sam, if you could, talk us through the unique process, what really sets the filter coffee apart? And of course, like we've seen, as far as international menus are concerned, turmeric tea, turmeric coffee, as well as chai lattes, making it to all the menus. Can we expect filter coffee now to go international and global?
For someone who's not familiar with coffee making, filter coffee making, if you can briefly explain to us the process. And we have flavors like turmeric coffee, turmeric tea. Also, what are the kind of popular other flavors with filter coffee?
See, filter coffee is ideally a ratio of coffee beans and chicory. And depending on which part of the southern India you are, you mix it accordingly. And it has to be, ratio of 2 to 3 spoonful of coffee powder and 1 cup of hot water, and create a decoction. It percolates, and then it is mixed with milk and sugar to taste. And filter coffee is mostly done with sugar. Coming to combinations of coffee, I think Kerala has done well with spices.
Right.
But still with the turmeric and other flavors, I don't think so it gels so well with the Indian filter coffee.
Right. Thank you very much for your time, Chef Mayank. So, Radhika and Divya, I'm going to taste my cuppa, as we call it here, as celebrating in that sense Indian filter coffee ranking number 2 now globally.
Right. Thank you so much, Sam. And Radhika, I need to take you for that filter coffee as well. We're being deprived here. All we can have is the regular coffee from the machine in the NDTV office. But also, let's just get a sense of how the Diwali festive spirit and, people rushing to do their last-minute shopping when it comes to the festival of Diwali, especially in Chennai. Sam gets us this report from a very crowded market where people are making sure that, they are, in fact, getting all that they need for the festive season.
Diwali is just 8 days away, and already there is a festive spirit at Tinagar, the commercial hub in Chennai. Shops are getting lit up. We're going to speak to consumers and shopkeepers to get a sense of their expectations this festive season.
Yeah, always Tinagar is very special to us. For every occasion we used to come, Diwali, for Diwali, Pongal, anything we used to come Tinagar only.
What are you looking forward to this Diwali season?
Just sweets and enjoyment with my friends, that's it.
Place itself is very lively. Diwali time is the best, You always see a colorful collection and everything, so yeah.
Have the festivities begun already?
Yeah, of course.
In terms of?
In terms of, the shopping, the get-togethers, everything.
Anything in particular?
Silk saree.
Silk sarees, okay, that's special. Chennai special, Kanchipuram silks.
Yes.
So now the decoration side is getting more popular in, South also. So, we can probably expect more decoration.
You have a theme for this year?
Yeah, maybe the floral decoration, that's all.
I would say the theme is more about a family occasion. So we have got a couple of marriages as well coming.
Right.
So yeah, that adds to more lights for the Diwali. Yeah.
Crackers purchase?
Yeah, we are not much into crackers.
Okay.
So just to avoid, the pollution.
Pollution
yeah,
part,
so
right.
We
like
see
to
the
burst.
crackers.
Yeah.
So
We
might
watch it. More colors, no noise.
Yeah. So let others enjoy and we will watch by enjoying.
What does this season mean for commercial establishments and business houses? We're at RMKB, a very well-known silk brand, and with me, Mr. Arumugh Sundaram, the store manager. Thank you very much for your time. What does this Diwali season mean to you? Is it the single largest turnover for you?
Yeah, of course. So in a financial year, Diwali is in a big month. So it's combined with the Muhurtam also. So as a wedding silks, we will focus on both a wedding as well as for our festive collections. This year we have introduced more than 11 unique collection to the customers. So naturals. Normally people have a synthetic dye. This year we have launched in a different way with a basic natural colors, which is used before 200 years.
In terms of your business,
Yeah.
already Diwali for you.
Yeah, of course. It started.
Thank you very much. So, festivities building up in the run-up to Diwali. In Chennai with Suresh, Sam Daniel, Find It TV.
Thank you so much, Sam, for getting us that festive vibe. And of course, let's switch tracks to Andhra Pradesh now, Radhika. The Andhra Pradesh that hosted a national drone summit on day one of the two-day summit. At least 5,000 drones were showcased in Amravati at that national drone summit, creating history of securing 5 Guinness Book of World Records.
That's right. In fact, the show broke world records in 5 categories. Divya, largest aerial planet formation, largest aerial landmark formation, aerial plan formation, aerial Indian flag formation, as well as largest aerial logo formation. Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu has proposed allocating 300 acres of land in Kurnool district to develop a drone city at the National Drone Summit that happened. In fact, over 5,000 drones, Divya, have been brought in that would demonstrate the capabilities.
And with that, we're slipping into a very short break. Lots more coming up on the other side.
Hello, Moto.
Motorola Edge 50 Pro, world's first AI-powered pro-grade camera.
And the Diwali festive vibe is being felt in markets around the country, especially in Chennai. Our shoppers are out in full swing to get their last-minute purchases as far as the festival of Diwali is concerned.
तालियों के साथ हम स्वागत करेंगे आदरणीय मोदी जी का। छत्रपति शिवाजी महाराज की।
घोषणा आणि जनतेचे पैसे लुटणं,
कट कमिशन आणि करप्शनला आमच्याकडे थारा नाही, त्यांचा परिवारवाद आमचा महाराष्ट्रवाद.
महाराष्ट्रामध्ये 1,75,000 जागा रिक्त आहेत, पण का भरत नाही? राज्याची जनतेच्या घमाच्या पैशाची तिजोरी लुटण्यासाठी हे सरकार आहे.
पूर्वीच्या सरकारच्या काळामध्ये निधी देताना त्यांना असं वाटायचं की त्यांच्याच खिशातले पैसे चालले. शेतकऱ्यांना मोफत वीज देण्याचं काम आपल्या सरकारने सुरू केलं.
I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World and address the summit.
It was the grand launch of NDTV World by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. NDTV World, as he laid out his vision for the India century at the NDTV World Summit.
ऐसी सदी जिसमें भारत के प्रयासों से दुनिया में स्थिरता आए,
in the presence of those who are shaping our future.
मेरी तरफ से आपको ढेर सारी शुभकामनाएं हैं।
NDTV World, your new home for global news is here.
New day, new show, a new experience. Start your day with the news, not views.
We bring you stories that matter
and impact your life.
News that informs and keeps you ahead. From Maximum City, Mumbai,
to the seat of power, Delhi,
NDTV brings you the best breakfast show. Breakfast news on NDTV, 8 a.m. every day.
NDTV proudly presents NDTV World Summit 2024 the India century. I now request the Honorable Prime Minister to launch NDTV World.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural session at the NDTV summit outlined his vision for the India century, driven by aspirational India.
हमारा प्रयास होगा भारत की सेंचुरी सिर्फ भारत की नहीं बल्कि पूरी मानवता की जीत की सेंचुरी बने.
The summit brought together prominent global leaders, highlighting India's pivotal role on the world stage.
Not just Indians trusting India's leadership, but the global South especially trusting India's leadership.
Canada is concerned, I think there are some very specific issues. I think a lot of people know that.
Permanent seat on the UN Security Council is something that should be India's right.
AI is going to be one of the most important, drivers.
It's a very exciting time for India, Indian cinema as well at a global level.
NDTV World Summit was more than just a conversation. It was a confluence of ideas poised to shape our global future.
I've been reporting on all issues, big and small.
A very good morning. You're watching NDTV 24/7. I'm Divya Vada. We have a whole lot lined up for you over the next 1 hour. But first, let's get you the headlines. Prime Minister Modi will be holding a bilateral meeting with Chinese President Xi Jinping, their first meeting since the 2020 Galwan clash on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in Russia. This after the border breakthrough. Top leaders and diplomats praised Prime Minister Modi's peace push at the NDTV World Summit as Prime Minister Modi reiterates peace and diplomacy is the only way forward, saying that he's the only leader who can meet with Ukraine's leader and Russian leader at the same time. Global thought leaders praise Modi's government's green push. India under Prime Minister Modi is leading the green energy transition and the West is arrogant. India is leading the way when it comes to green energy is what leaders are saying. And this is the thought that was echoed by most at the World Summit. NDTV World Summit exclusive. It's NASA Daily who speaks on success and also his political views. 5 people have died in a building that collapsed in Bengaluru. Rescue operations are still underway and this is a building that was illegally constructed. The building was only given permission to the 4th floor, but there were more floors that were constructed illegally. And the air quality dips even further. We're talking about 340 points on the AQI. As far as Delhi is concerned, the situation is expected to get worse, but visibly this morning, it is very bad in the national capital. Time to get those masks back on. 5,000 drones showcase in Amravati on day 1 of the National Drone Summit, creating history by securing 5 Guinness World Records with its mesmerizing drone show in Andhra Pradesh. Let's get to your top story, and that is 15 laborers were working in an under construction building and they were trapped under the rubble as the entire structure collapsed yesterday this is in Bengaluru. Now, 5 people are believed to be dead. 14 people were rescued at the time, and there were about 20 people from what we're hearing at the time of collapse. The rescue operations were halted late last night but resumed early this morning. So the NDRF, the SDRF are working in full swing with the help of the city police and the dog squad. But this was a building that was illegally constructed. The building only had permission till the 4th floor, but there were more floors on that building that were illegally constructed. Of course, a blatant violation when it comes to rules and regulations. And of course, also keeping in mind is the kind of rainfall that was reported in the last 24 hours alone in Bengaluru. Massive showers led to waterlogging in the city. It is the Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, D.K. Shivkumar, who's gone on to say that illegal activities were going on and they will be taking strict action against everyone. Let's listen in.
बेगूसराय बिहार का
अब हमारा चाचा उसमें दबा हुआ, उसी के ज्वार में मैं काम कर रहा है। मैं एक 6 फ्लोर पर ऊपर से कूद गया था, हम लोग बैठ गए, हाथ गोड़ फूट गया, मैं बैठ गया ऊपर और हमारा चाचा वही में दबा हुआ है। और 4 आदमी था, 3 आदमी, एक आदमी खत्म हो गया, एक आदमी हॉस्पिटल में भर्ती कर दिया है ना, हम लोग रहते।
Right, and to get more on this, we have Pratibha joining us. Pratibha, take us through firstly the permission that the building had in terms of the floors that were allowed, but apparently there were more floors. There was illegal construction. This was an under construction building, and the poor labourers who have lost their lives. Take us through, as far as the death toll is concerned, that's risen from 1 last night to 5 this morning. Are there people still trapped inside, or the rescue operations have been completed?
Well, in fact, there are still more people who are trapped inside. The total number of laborers who were there inside this under construction building is still not known officially. But what we hear is that around 20 approximately laborers who were working, some of them laying the tiles, some of them compartmentalized into other departments of work as far as the construction of this building is concerned. But like you pointed out, yes, initial permission was given just for 4 stories, but then there were more floors that were built. In fact, one look at this building, you would know the number of floors that were already there, which were more in number than the 4-storied building that we have been talking about. And this is the rubble that you see, and around 5 deaths have been confirmed officially. And what we hear from the rescue teams is that around 13 have been rescued, 5 of whom are injured, and they have been admitted to the hospital there. And they have been using several other mechanisms. One is definitely the earth-moving equipment that you see here that is sifting through the rubble to see if there's anyone who's alive or dead. And they are also using a sound mechanism of sorts. So there is a probe that goes inside, and that will find out if there is any sound of any kind which could alert the rescue teams to find out if there is any person alive inside. The NDRF teams, the SDRF teams, the police personnel, all of them have been working for 16 hours straight to find out if they could save many more lives. As of now, yes, 5 deaths, 13 who have been rescued. Could there be more is something that they are still looking for. What we hear is that there could be at least 3 or 4 people who could still be trapped inside. Is this due to illegal construction, substandard material that could have perhaps been used, or is it also rain related is something that still cannot be confirmed. But yes, the police have been probing this, and once the rescue teams and the saving of lives becomes their priority, and once that is done, they would be looking at further investigation to avert such kind of incidents. Yes, this comes amidst heavy rains. Bengaluru has been battling heavy rains, infrastructure mess, as well as the waterlogged roads. And this is definitely something that Bengaluru citizens did not want at this point in time. Yes, the incident has happened in the east part of the city, Babusapalya in Bengaluru. And most of the neighbors and people in and around have been talking about this and are left outraged at this point in time. Back to you.
Right, thank you so much, Pratibha, for joining us with all those details. We will keep tracking that story for more. Switching tracks now to Maharashtra and Jharkhand. Of course, both of those states that are poll-bound have now released their lists. And we're talking about Eknath Shinde Sena faction that has released its first list. And this is a list that has now finalized its seat-sharing formula. Do remember that the BJP had released its list initially, and now it is a list that has now been released by Eknath Shinde faction. The list comprises of 45 candidates for the upcoming Maharashtra polls. Do remember that Maharashtra goes to polls in a single phase on the 20th of November, and it is Eknath Shinde who will be contesting from the Kopri Pach, this is the Pach Pakhadi Assembly constituency, and the battle for Maharashtra is the Shinde Sena that has released that list of 45 candidates after the list of the BJP that was out. Now, the big question is in regard to the MVA that is likely to make that announcement as far as their seat sharing formula is concerned. And from what we're hearing is that it's Uddhav Thackeray Sena India to contest 90 to 95 seats, and it's the NCP Sharad Pawar group to contest on 64 to about 80 seats. And this is a decision after meetings, these are marathon meetings that took place on Tuesday night. And we have Radhika joining us to get us more on this. Radhika, take us through the series of events, I mean the series, meetings after meetings, and finally some decision seems to have been made.
That's right. MVA seems to have made decision amid disputes and differences over seat sharing. Of course, yesterday the meeting went on for close to 7 to 8 hours. Post midnight, all the leaders were sitting together to come to some sort of consensus. Of course, just less than a month to go for Maharashtra elections after marathon meetings. Now, MVA are finalizing a seat sharing formula. This will be released today formally. An announcement will be made. Congress likely to get 100 to 105 seats, Sena 90 to 95 seats, and NCP about 80 to 84 seats. So, all in all, it's an almost equal division, because we knew for a fact that Congress and Sena will be getting equal numbers. So, just 5 number differences here and there, and 4 to 5 seats to be given to smaller parties. Congress, of course, considers itself as the big brother as far as this entire MVA equation is concerned, especially Divya, after Lok Sabha elections. In fact, post Lok Sabha election results, it is the Congress that won maximum seats as far as MVA is concerned. MVA won 30 out of 48 seats, and Congress winning maximum. Great strike rate as far as Congress is concerned during Lok Sabha, which is why it had been negotiating hard for many seats. Congress leaders, in fact, met Sharad Pawar, Uddhav Thackeray yesterday. Then a combined meeting happened. All this after disputes over 12 seats in Vidarbha, which both the Congress and Sena were fighting for. And there are a few seats in Mumbai also, which both these parties were fighting for. And there were a few differences within NCP as well as Congress. But looks like all these differences have been ironed out, and a seat division has taken place. But it was after marathon meetings that they sort of came to a consensus. Yesterday, we did speak to Nana Patole as well, who said that there will be consensus reached. These differences are natural, and it is, more disputes within Mahayuti. Of course, at the moment, what we are hearing is that Congress to get the larger pie, 100 to 105 seats, Sena are close to 90 to 95, and Sharad Pawar NCP about 80 to 84 seats.
Right, Radhika, we also have, Anuj joining us in order to get us a sense of that list that's been released by the Shiv Sena faction. We're talking about the Eknath Shinde Shiv Sena faction that released its first list of 45 candidates. Anuj, take us through the big names on that list.
The big names, of course, include Eknath Shinde himself, Uday Samant, and there's several other MLAs and all the ministers who were present in Eknath Shinde's cabinet after the rebellion happened a couple of years ago. Now, a major takeaway from this list is that all those MLAs who had left United Shiv Sena and went with Eknath Shinde to form the alliance with the Bharatiya Janata Party have all been given the ticket. Out of 45, there are 41 incumbent MLAs. Except for those who have now been, either made members of parliament or are on other positions. All the others have been given the ticket once again, and that suggests that the Eknath Shinde faction is very particular about keeping their trust intact on those who had left United Shiv Sena, with Eknath Shinde. Secondly, we are seeing that, with incumbency, the list is of 45, and we are. This gives us a sense of how much seats Eknath Shinde faction might get in the Mahayuti alliance. Of course, the Bharatiya Janata Party announced their first list of 99, and the second list is expected to come soon. When you talk about the alliance formula or equation in Mahayuti, one is following the formula of say 160 to 80 to 50, where 80 is for Eknath Shinde and 50 is for Ajit Pawar. While Ajit Pawar faction has not really put out any message regarding the number of candidates they'll be giving tickets to, although they had an EB form distribution taking place a couple of days ago, but a formal announcement of list hasn't happened from them, and theirs is the only party which hasn't really done it in Mahayuti, whereas their other two allies have done it already. So the fact that Eknath Shinde has gotten 45 candidates out in the first list suggests that there might be another 40 odd seats which might come out in the following lists, and that would take their tally up to 80 to 85, and that is something that the formula, as we had been speaking of for quite some time now, would stand correct. Now, second most important thing that happened yesterday as far as the list, announcing the list is concerned, is the Maharashtra Navnirman Sena, where Raj Thackeray also announced his list of 45 candidates. Now, an interesting thing here is that Out of those 45 candidates, 18 are from Mumbai. And last week there was a lot of chatter here in Mumbai how even after announcing that he is going to fight the election independently and not with anyone, unlike what was the case in Lok Sabha election where he gave an unconditional support to the NDA alliance. There were a few meetings, which were reported between Raj Thackeray, Devendra Fadnavis, and Eknath Shinde a few days ago, especially regarding seats like Shivdi, seats like Mahim, and all of those seats in Mumbai, where it was said that Raj Thackeray was seeking support from the Mahayuti government. But that does not seem to be the case after what has happened yesterday, because there have been several seats where Raj Thackeray's MNS and the BJP and of course the Shinde Sena has put the seats together, which means that the Mahayuti is fighting it out not just against Mahavikas Aghadi but also against MNS, ruling out all the possibilities of any sort of pre-poll alliance. Now, what happens after the polls will be something that we will need to wait and watch. But a major factor there is that Raj Thackeray's son Amit Thackeray will be fighting his first election. He becomes the latest Thackeray entrant in the electoral politics. He'll be fighting his first election from the Mahim constituency of Mumbai, whereas Worli, where Raj Thackeray did not field a candidate in 2019 because his nephew Aditya Thackeray was fighting his first election in 2019, will have his trustee Sandeep Deshpande, fighting it out against Aditya Thackeray. So these are the two major news pointers that we got yesterday, as far as the seat sharing is, or as far as the list publication is concerned, from the third, from the third alliance partner, that is Shinde Sena and MNS led by Raj Thackeray.
Right. So, of course, this is, in the run-up to the elections, and of course, that finalization as far as the MV especially particularly is concerned, that has now come out with a seat-sharing formula. Of course, Eknath Shinde's faction there coming out with its first list of 45 candidates. The BJP is out with their list, and the MV also finally has seemed to have ironed out its differences, or at least to the as far as regarding the Congress, which will be contesting on 100 to 105 seats, and we have Uddhav Thackeray Sena to contest on 90 to 95 seats. Thank you so much, Anuj, for getting us those details. And let's just talk about, in fact, Jharkhand, the other poll-bound state, and of course, Jharkhand also took out its list of candidates. We're talking about JMM releasing a list of 35 candidates for the upcoming polls. The JMM has released its list for Jharkhand's assembly elections, naming Chief Minister Hemant Soren from Barhet, his wife Kalpana Soren from Gandhi, and brother Basant Soren from the Dumka seat. Meanwhile, the RJD also released a list of 6 candidates for the Jharkhand polls. And then we also have seen that the Congress party on Monday released a list of 21 candidates for Jharkhand. And staying with political news now, and it's Congress General Secretary Priyanka Gandhi Vadra who is set to file her nomination papers for Wayanad's Lok Sabha by-polls. Marking her political debut is Rahul Gandhi, who won that seat in the Lok Sabha polls but vacated it to hold on to the family constituency of Raebareli. Rahul Gandhi, who has vacated that seat after winning Raebareli, and of course it is the leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi, Mother Sonia Gandhi, all will be there in attendance. As far as Priyanka Gandhi is there, she will be holding a roadshow first at about 11 o'clock this morning, and that will be